Thank you very much. Let's now begin with Module 1.
Thank you. It is again a pleasure to be here and part of an International Training Center video conference. This past year has been difficult, and the pain is not likely over. The decline in global markets we have witnessed since the start of the millennium has occurred for several reasons. Technology and organizational infrastructures are overcapitalized. Continuing gains in personal and organizational productivity has eliminated jobs. Declines in investment as a result of overinvestment and lack of profitability, especially from e-businesses. Slacking confidence in business leadership and ethics, and fears about the obstacles to globalization, most notably terrorism and unresolved international conflicts. The questions to ask are, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? How long is the tunnel? And what is expected of those who must manage our organizations in these very difficult times? This is what I want to discuss with you this morning, and what I call ETK excellence, the key competencies for managing in the new economy. Our session will be in two parts. In the first segment, we'll try to understand the global economy better by looking at what drives this new economy, what is necessary to succeed in it, and we'll briefly re-examine what we discussed last year: emotional competence, technology awareness, and knowledge management, ETK, because these are key to customer satisfaction and organization performance in the new economy. In the second segment, we'll consider the 5 key competencies that you can use to facilitate ETK in your own organizations. Let's begin with reminding ourselves that what we are living through today has happened only twice before in human history: the total revolution of world economics. The first began at the end of the 18th century, when the steam engine replaced 8,000 years of agrarian economics. The second started with the introduction of electricity at the end of the 19th century. This third revolution got underway in the 1950s with the invention of the basic building blocks of the computer, the transistor and magnetic tape, and it continues today. Just as with the first two, the process of change is uncertain and the future not as predictable as we would like. Just as before, new industries are being created and existing ones are being transformed or eliminated. Much has been written and spoken about the new global economy. Some refer to it as the knowledge economy, while others describe it as the information economy, or the global economy, or the network economy. A label is not important. What is important is that we understand what is driving this economic revolution. First, during the past 3 decades, the world's economy integrated as a result of trade barrier reductions and consumer openness to foreign goods, which has created a highly competitive global climate. We have seen a synthesis of information technology, biotechnology, material science, and nanotechnology, all spurred by dramatic investment. Even older technologies have benefited by taking lateral sideways development into new markets and applications around the world. But unlike the Industrial Revolution, the process of globalization is more compressed. Therefore, its evolution is rocky, marked by chronic financial volatility and, regrettably, a widening economic divide. For example, availability of financing and the opportunity for quick profits drove innovation, and in turn, fast innovation drove productivity growth higher, lowering inflation and further accelerating investment. But as the new millennium dawned, this investor excitement led to overcapitalization of equipment and software, spawning a downturn. However, I believe as political pressures for higher living standards grows and improved economic and oversight policies are adopted, the diffusion of information technologies will raise global trade and investment, and we will witness a return to high levels of growth. What we do know is that the turbulence we are experiencing today will continue. This is why organizations must be ever mindful of the character of the four drivers of the new economy: digital technology, speed, globalization, and customer satisfaction. Gordon Moore provided the new economy its mantra when he stated what has become known as Moore's Law. The power of semiconductor technology doubles every 18 months. Digital technology is reducing the cost of information processing and eroding the profit margins of many traditional products. This, in turn, is creating new, less costly, more user-friendly delivery channels like specialty stores, the internet, and telemarketing, thus requiring more organizations to be value-conscious and solutions-oriented. Digital technology has also put a premium on speed. Business failures today have little to do with strategy. It is appropriate, accurate, honest decisions that determine who wins. As our organizations move faster, our managers must master the plain vanilla tasks. By that I mean, do you have the right information systems? Can you forecast demand? Can you get products out of the factory and deliver them on time? These are the fundamental processes that can derail your business very quickly if you don't pay attention. Globalization is the most obvious and controversial driver of the new economy. There are three causes for globalization: falling transportation costs, falling trade barriers, and falling communications costs. In addition, as travel and immigration has exceeded or expanded among the world's middle class, similar buying patterns have emerged, making goods produced abroad more attractive than they were before. Globalization is not new. International trade and investments go back to ancient Greece and Rome, and nations globalized their national security long before Richelieu turned it into an art. Globalization has two facets. First, globalization of consumption, when the nation in which a product is made is not the nationality of the consumer. Second, globalization of production ownership, when the nationality of the owner and the controller of the productive assets is independent of the nation that houses them. There is much controversy about globalization's values, purposes, and effects. One controversial aspect of globalization is the worldwide spread and dominance of Western culture. The dramatic growth of mass communications in the West, such as music, television, films, and the internet, is penetrating every continent. From China to France to the Middle East, foreign leaders and activists have expressed fear that a global culture may destroy their own cultural, economic, and religious traditions. Some resist in violent ways. But while the global economy is prone to periodic crises, its capacity to correct itself is strong. And it is a revolution that cannot be stopped. The fourth driver of the new economy is customer satisfaction. No longer is commerce just about buying stuff. Now it's about interacting with people in different ways. World business has shifted from supply-side to demand-side thinking. As companies gather, organize, select, synthesize, and distribute information in the marketplace, they are being forced to sense and respond to customers' desires rather than simply to make and sell services. Real power, therefore, has shifted to the customer, not simply because customers have more choice, better information about products and services, and better access to suppliers. It is shifting because the world's consumers want access to value, regardless of national borders. What matters about customers today is not their role as purchasers of a product, but their role as users. In response, organizations must learn to begin not with what they do and how they do it, but with what their customer wants. Because the opportunities of the new economy are new, they require new thinking to take advantage of them. The path to success in this environment can only be continuous improvement of products, processes, and customer management. Understanding your work processes, their inputs and outputs, is essential for unending improvement, doing little things better, setting and achieving ever higher standards. Everyone in the organization must participate through identifying opportunities for improvement, testing out new approaches, recording the results, and recommending changes. This places a high priority on learning because many of today's insights and competencies will be out of date tomorrow. The quest for new ways to think about products, problems, and processes to develop new paradigms is going on all over the world. Keeping in touch with these developments and learning how to capitalize on them is essential for survival in revolutionary times. Thinking of your organization's strategy as a race without a finish line is key for a successful management style of patience that focuses on incremental improvements and learning. We live in an era of intellectual property where white-collar and blue-collar workers are fast being replaced by gold-collar workers, persons who possess strategic knowledge. It therefore behooves us to facilitate the transition of knowledge to as many workers as possible in the shortest time possible. Successful managers today are therefore helping workers not only to learn the skills they need, but also to fine-tune their interdependence as learners. These principles are manifest in three simple learning processes. First, learn before you act. Second, learn while it is being done. And third, learn after you have done it. These learning processes help build in learning on the job by allowing employees to capture and reuse knowledge while the work is being done, rather than doing something extra. It's part of the job. The toughest of the three is learning after the job is complete. Most people can understand why they should learn before beginning work, but learning afterwards has some unique difficulties. It comes from the military's after-action reviews and the post-mortem review most engineering organizations conduct. People don't like them because they're usually ready to move on. But by focusing on the value of what was just learned, what does not need to change, and what does need improvement, most people who participate begin to see what they can reuse the next time they work. Successful managers in today's ubiquitous world are also telling their people, you don't work alone, that there are others in the world who do similar things. We call these people practitioners in whatever field or subject that you're involved in, a community of practice. They're what we used to call a personal network, the people you go to when you're in trouble. A community of practice is a group of people who are in or outside of your organization who do similar things and have a desire to share what they know because they think there's something in it for them. Communities of practice are knowledge trees we need to learn to harvest. Finally, you must have the ability to codify, store, and retrieve what you've learned or what the community of practice has learned. You want to have access to a collection of knowledge and experience in a way that people can retrieve it quickly. You want every bit of knowledge or story connected to a real person who can be reached and consulted. Most importantly, you want this done easily, on demand. When you can do this, you will have a real advantage. And that brings us to 3 areas of focus that must be embraced if our organizations are to be successful in this new way of doing business. They are the ETK of organizational performance: emotional competence, technology awareness, and knowledge management. In an environment where speed is not a measure, but a condition to compete, we must be able to prepare ourselves and our people on 3 planes. First, from the management team to employees, contractors, suppliers, and above all, customers. We are concerned with human beings. Our ability to deal with the emotional side of people is vital. Second, we must know the purpose and capability of the technology that is required for the results we desire. And finally, we need to be able to manage the vast amount of knowledge that our technology can capture and turn into useful, actionable information. Emotional competence stands for the qualities that mark people who excel in real life, because people whose relationships flourish are the stars of the workplace. And remember, these qualities are not fixed at birth. They can be nurtured and strengthened in all of us. There are 5 domains of emotional competence. Knowing one's emotions. Recognizing a feeling as it happens is the keystone of self-awareness. The ability to monitor feelings from moment to moment is crucial to insight and self-understanding. Second, managing emotions. The capacity to soothe oneself, to shake off anxiety, gloom, or irritability, and the consequences of failure is the basis for emotional stability. Third, motivating oneself. Marshaling emotions in the service of a goal is essential for self-motivation, mastery, and creativity, and depends upon emotional self-control like delaying gratification and stifling impulsiveness. Fourth, recognizing emotions in others. Empathy, another ability that builds on emotional self-awareness, is the fundamental people skill. People who are empathetic are more attuned to the subtle social signals that indicate what others need or want. And finally, handling relationships. The art of relationships is in large part the skill of managing emotions in others. This is key to social competence and the abilities that undergird leadership and interpersonal effectiveness. The principles of emotional competence help managers understand the function of emotions in the behavior of employees and customers, as well as to practice good emotional competence in their own responses. A customer-centric view is essential for organizations today. To support that end, managers must utilize a variety of technology solutions to provide both information systems for relationship knowledge as well as operational systems to support the means to service those relationships. For example, data storage and replication are essential in organizing customer information and helping support customers from multiple locations, and the comprehensive cataloging of customers, their preferences and feedback. Replication capabilities like Lotus Notes and Microsoft Exchange ensure that all employees are always fully updated on the customer and well equipped to build and sustain relationships. And of course, the World Wide Web, the Internet. The web makes an organization accessible to their customers 24 hours a day. In simple terms, No management team can achieve success today without understanding the correct technical tools for their organization. The third plane management must pay attention to is knowledge management. In any organization, it is measurement that drives behavior. So when you say one thing and measure another, you'll never get the results you want. The solution is to bring both behavior and measurements together in a collaborative way. Knowledge management is crucial to building such a performance management system. It is a concept that combines management practices, information technology, and work processes with emphasis on results. It means being able to integrate technology tools, the hard stuff, with the appropriate cultural tools and attitudes, the soft stuff, to create an empowered learning environment that facilitates problem solving and stimulates innovation. Knowledge management is the intelligent use of an amalgam of the operation or the organization's processes, behaviors, and technologies to benefit the enterprise by managing expectations and continuously raising the bar on performance and learning. Today, 1 year in traditional time is about 1 week or a month in the digital world. Therefore, your ability to move quickly is paramount if you want to stay not just current, but ahead of the game. Given that there's limited time, money, and resources, those companies that are able to use what they have to leverage something new are the ones that will step ahead of the game. If you can learn quickly from every experience that occurs, whether you induce it or others do, is a competitive advantage. That is the goal of an ETK organization. Emotional competence to bring out the best in employees, contractors, suppliers, and to understand customers better. Technology to facilitate the acquisition and utilization of key data, and knowledge management to transform that data into effective actions and value creation for the organization. These are the 3 areas of focus for customer relationship management and the new economy. But as an individual, how you put these into practice is the question. This is what we will answer in segment 2. But before we break, let me make a few comments about today's global marketplace. The world's marketplace requires that our organizations become more efficient and more competitive. That is why companies today are no longer defined as multinational, but rather global. The world marketplace is today defined as a network economy due to 4 characteristics. The first is that the marketplace is technology-driven. Today, information and data are shared instantly with individuals and corporations around the world. The second characteristic is the digital economy. The third characteristic is that we are not confined or constrained by national borders. Finally, the world marketplace is a network of companies and nations around the globe. This is changing the hierarchical pyramid design of many organizations to a more modern networking web design. As world businesses, markets, and business processes change, benchmarking has become a valuable and beneficial tool for organizations to assure their success. International benchmarking is the tool for gathering information and understanding the world's best practices, which then allows organizations to improve their effectiveness and profits, accelerate and manage change, achieve breakthroughs and innovations, and pursue world-class performance. I think we'll pause here and give you an opportunity to ask questions.